Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 17.40, Ring Around the Rosies. We are back.
Ooh, pocket full of posies?
Yeah, a tissue, we all fall down, bro.
What's tissue?
A tissue. A tissue, like you're sneezing.
Why not ashes to ashes?
Oh, we've got a different version here, I guess, because that was about, like, the plague.
Oh, what's yours about?
Well, ours is about the plague.
Okay.
A tissue, you're sneezing, we all fall down, we all died.
No, here we say ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
Doesn't make any fucking sense. How would you turn to ashes and then fall down?
Well, I thought the implication was, like, people were burning the dead. I don't know.
A tissue, you're sneezing and then you fall down.
I've never heard the tissue version. I've only ever heard ashes, ashes. I think you got a censored version of the song, dog.
What do you mean? Mine makes more sense.
Let me look this up. Why is ring around the rosy, ashes, ashes?
Okay, so that's a fucking leading question there.
Well, I'm trying to ask why it's ashes.
You're like, so why is my answer correct?
Well, no, I'm just wondering because yours makes sense, right? Tissue, blow your nose. I'm wondering where ashes, ashes.
No, not tissue.
From.
A tissue. It's like an onomatopoeia for sneezing.
Hang on. Other versions of the song have different sounds, like Atisha or Husher. Oh, okay, I was right. Ashes to Ashes is about cremating bodies. Yours is about the sneezing sound. There's just different versions of it, I guess.
Okay,
that's kind of funny. Well, ours is a lot more grim. It's burnt bodies instead of just having a little sneeze.
It's horrific. No, you're sneezing and then you drop dead. So clearly you're dying of the plague. It's got death scenes. It's like it's the SpongeBob picture on the roller coaster.
Why did ours become so much more morbid with like the burning bodies bit? How did that happen?
I don't know. Well, it's the same implication. Everyone falls down. They're all dead anyway.
I wonder if it's because Atisha, that's not like a sound we have. Maybe you got confused for ashes over time.
Maybe. It's like the back rooms.
Anyway, yeah. Welcome back. We're 2.5 minutes in. Here's Aetheral Space.
Immediately stunlocked.
Day 4. It began, as most things do, with an explosion. Turrets along the walls of Zepan opened fire all at once, not at the forces of the final church surrounding the citadel, but at the city ring contained within the third layer of their protective barrier. Holes opened in the crimson force field to allow the mortar's passage, and as each came down, they detonated into a pillar of flame bright enough to create the illusion of daylight. A ring of fire erupted all around the city. When Pandoshi had created Zepan, the city that had housed the populace further had been abandoned, but today it was truly being disposed of. Rubble flew high into the air and rained back down, smashing into the ground and destroying whatever structures still remained standing. With just that first volley of shots, everything taller than a bungalow had been utterly demolished. Any ordinary human would surely have been killed. But the ones being targeted were not normal humans, and that first volley hadn't been intended to kill them. That had simply been to set the rats running. I have a question, Tan.
Yes.
So, they have been like, hey, if you're not going to surrender, then we can't spare the people, right? We're going to have to kill you all?
Yes, that's the understanding.
Honest question, and I get they have some assets here, but, like, logistics-wise, why don't they just orbital bombard the planet? Like, wouldn't it be a lot more effective, even with Aether, and less dangerous for them to just launch things from, like, orbit and let, like, gravity and the thrusting do the work and just, like, obliterate everything on the planet?
Well, they say, like, we want to destroy photos. Maybe, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Off the boat, there's a lot of good shit in there.
I see. The greed of a beast is taken.
Yeah.
That had simply been to set the rats running. Revolutionaire set, full throttle, overdrive, Pisces paint! Streaks of light burst out of the rubble, fleeing from the smashed box that, until moments ago, had been their temporary base of operations. These were the ones that Zepan was after. These were the ones who had broken into the Fortress Oberon and pilfered Zephyr Pandoshi's most vital prize, the Sword of Possibilities, Permutation. Camera drones confirmed the presence of the Aether armament in the hand of Ruth Blaine as she weaved through falling debris. Camera drones confirmed the presence of the Aether armament in the hand of a toy Musazi with the Aquarius variant slung over his other shoulder. Camera drones confirmed the presence of the Aether armament in the hand of Dragana Hadrian, who ran through what remained of the ruins. Permutation and permutation and permutation again, each heading in a different direction. The single prize had become a triumvirate and separated. There was a moment of calm as the blasts from Zepan's walls abated, and then their forces moved out. Okay, so 2 of these are decoys, right?
You would think so.
Right. Day 3. Their next move, Dragana Hadrian said gravely, will definitely be to reclaim permutation. After the chaos outside had slowed down a bit, the shining crimson barrier separating them from the final church forces, the group had returned into the gymnasium to discuss their next move. Permutation remained where it had been, leaning against the wall like it was a piece of spare furniture and not an ancient aether armament. Ruth eyed it warily as the group talked. "Are you sure?" Rayanj Patel croaked, clutching his arm as he leaned against the wall. "Forgive my impropriety, but looking outside, does Zephyr Pandershi not have better things to worry about?" "I agree," Musazi nodded, crossing his arms. "Full-scale war will break out here soon. Zephyr Pandershi would be best served focusing all his energy on preparation for that conflict." Does that sound like Musazi? I haven't voiced him in so long it feels wrong.
Maybe a little bit deeper, but that basically sounds like him.
Alright, like, I should go deeper, or it was...
A little bit deeper, like this, yes.
Like this. Rayanj widened
not
his
like
eyes
that, not like
at the
gruff
agreement.
deeper.
Hatoy Musazi. Dragana rolled her eyes. Well, yeah, he needs to prepare for what happens next. That's why he needs to get permutation back. The plan you told us about, Ruth Blaine muttered. Until now, she'd just been sitting there, quietly listening. Even just remembering it had sounded insane. Pandershi intended to replace the consciousness of the Panacea network with his own, and in doing so, assume control over everything it was connected to. Comma after so. It sounded to Ruth like an apocalypse. Hell, it was an apocalypse. Just being inside Zephyr Pandershi's city made her skin crawl. The last thing she wanted was to step foot inside Zephyr Pandershi's world. Dragana nodded. To accomplish that, he needs the core of the Panacea network. Apparently, that's inside Dragana Hadrian. And apparently, Dragana Hadrian is inside permutation. He'll want to settle matters with us as soon as possible. And, since we're trapped inside the city ring by the barrier, we're pretty much at his mercy. She wasn't wrong. With the way the 3 sections of Zepan's shield was set up, their group was now stuck in between the second and third layers of the barrier. Their movements were completely restricted to the city ring surrounding Zepan. That force field was designed to hold off entire fleets. Ruth doubted that any individual, no matter how powerful, would be able to just break through. Brother Worm stepped out from Musazi's side, raising a hand as he looked at the woman with his face. "If I might offer a suggestion," he said seriously. "No," Musazi quickly cut him off. Dragana raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" "It's nothing," Musazi replied. "It's the same plan every time. Self-mutilation."
Says you.
What's up?
My plan would never involve harming myself. I would never do that.
Back then. Worm adjusted his collar, looking back at Musazi. "From what I've been told about your escapades, Atoy, you're not really one to talk. And besides," he turned towards Dragana, "the way I see it, the only way out of this situation for us is my Aquarius Covenant." "Oh yeah?" Worm nodded. "I can use Covenant to transport people, bypassing the barrier. It's easier if I send them to a place I'm familiar with, but I can still get you all out of the barrier and into Nermut proper. The final church will be setting up ground forces all around there. I'll tell you what to say, you'll be able to seek sanctuary with them." Musazi stepped forward, getting in Worm's way as he shook his head. "When we first met, you sacrificed all the nails from one hand to save me. That was a short-distance teleport. That was one person. And that was going to somewhere you were reasonably familiar with. Wasn't it?" "It was." Worm looked away. "Tell me," Musazi said. "There are 6 of us here now. 6 people who would need transporting right through the barrier into that wasteland you've never even set foot in. How much would it cost you? Would you survive?" Worm said nothing. "Would you?" Musazi insisted. "It would be difficult," Worm conceded. "If I moved everyone at the same time, then I probably wouldn't survive. But that doesn't need to be the case. We still have some Panacea. If we go one at a time, then..." "Should we really be meddling with Panacea?" Rayanj frowned. "Knowing what we do now." "We hardly have another choice," Worm protested. He was doing his best to convince everyone, but it seemed that, in turn, everyone was ganging up to deny him. Dragana was the next one to chip in. Even the one who originally seemed most on board with the plan had her doubts. You say you'll be able to tell us how to get sanctuary from the final church, she pointed out. But where are you getting that knowledge? I hate to rub it in, but you're a fictional character just like me. There's no telling how accurate any of your knowledge of the world is. I'm sure Pandarshi provided a great deal of information to permutation, Worm shot back. That's why it was able to create variants like us with so much fidelity. I'll grant you that specific access codes and things like that are probably inaccurate, but I have faith that I still understand the culture of the church. Dragana considered her counterpart's words, bringing a hand to her chin. She certainly didn't look like she placed as much stock in faith as Worm did. Musashi put a hand on Worm's shoulder, no doubt intending to dissuade him again. But before he could get a word out, 5, Hazley said quietly. She'd been silent until now, sitting in the corner of the room with her knees pulled up to her chest. Given the events of the evening and the terrible story she'd had to tell again, she hadn't been in a very gregarious mood. Even now, as she looked over at the group, her gaze seemed downcast. Musashi looked at her. What? You said that Worm would need to get 6 people out of here with his Aquarius whatever, she went on. I don't really get how this Aether stuff works. But Worm, you can't teleport yourself, can you? Worm said nothing. If you could, Hazley went on, you'd have used it to escape that monster variant tonight, right? Am I wrong? Still, Worm said nothing, but he shook his head, just slightly. Slowly, Musashi turned to look at Worm again, his eyes wide and aghast. Are you proposing we abandon you? Leave you here with your body torn apart in exchange for our exit? Worm looked away. I was hoping... What? Musashi demanded. You were hoping none of us would realize what you were up to before it was too late. That's not a great way to put it. It's an accurate way, though, Dragana cut in, taking a step back. Let's just put a pin in this plan, then. Keep it as a last resort sort of thing. We're not keeping it as anything, Musashi snapped. Last resorts are there, so we can stack plans in front of them, Dragana insisted. Anyway, I've got a better plan we can start with. Worm, you say you're confident you can talk to the final church? You're really confident about that? Worm nodded. I am. Well, Dragana smiled, let's just have you talk to them. Day 4. A toy Musashi flew through the sky, a burden held by each arm. In one, the sword permutation, cold and solid. In the other, a person in the garb of a priest. He supposed he must make quite a strange sight from the ground. Then again, it seemed the people shooting at him weren't terribly concerned with what he looked like. A surge of plasma shots rained up from the ground far below, accompanied by the concentrated blasts of Seelie gun. Now that the city ring had been softened up by the initial bombardment, the Seelie and Unseelie were heading out in full force. This time, they wanted to resolve this situation as quickly as possible. Musashi weaved through the onslaught of projectiles, the hell of bullets, gritting his teeth. His maneuverability was lacking right now. The presence of the barrier and the load he was carrying meant that he couldn't adjust his flight path as quickly as he liked. That was fine, though. In fact, that was ideal. Right now, after all, his job was to attract as much attention as possible.
Do you think Musashi would do well in Toho?
Yeah. Bullet Hell, the fucking Toho music play.
Yeah.
Who would be his little, Toho enemies who's throwing patterns at
the
him?
Seelie Rangers.
Ruth Blaine dropped off the roof and landed in a ruined alleyway, turning her head to look at the one that had been waiting for her. You okay? She asked, voice muffled by the revolutionary set. Yeah, Hazley replied, her voice just as distorted by the skeletal. Hazley was the only one of them that couldn't use Aether. Next to Worm, then, she was the most vulnerable to physical damage. They'd already known that Z-Pan would likely begin their assault with an all-out bombardment, so they'd had Hazley put on the skeletal set and retreat to a deeper shelter first to protect her as much as possible. From here on in, though, it was all a matter of how fast they could run. Clutched in a pale hand, clad in the noblesse set, the third permutation was carried through the ruins of the city ring. Needless to say, it was not the real permutation. No matter how many possibilities that Aether armament could produce, it itself was singular. The sword this hand held, and at least one of the others, was a fake. It was but metal carved by skeletal claws, painted by Pisces, producing a somewhat convincing replica from a distance. Somewhat. The one this hand held was not the best work. It was rough and gnarled, more like a gratified metal stick than any actual weapon. It wouldn't hold up to any close scrutiny, or any distant scrutiny, for that matter. Of course, that was intentional. They continued their retreat into the darkness, unpursued and unbothered. Oh? Did they do that so they wouldn't be targeted? Is that Dragana? Who's the third?
It said Dragana.
It did?
It did, but he said they split up 3 ways, so...
But it didn't say Dragana's name in this one like it did the other two.
It didn't.
Accompanied by furious flashes of aether, the Unseelie landed on one of the few remaining rooftops, looking down at the city ring. Steeling herself, black brush clutched in her hands, Oe took in the situation. A dozen holographic screens floated in front of her face, displaying various angles of their quarry, the groups that had split up and the permutations they held. Oe looked closely. The girl who had originally stolen permutation, Dragana Hadrian, was holding an obvious fake, running away while clad in Blaine's noblesse set. They couldn't let her go, obviously, but they could certainly save her as a low-priority target. That left 2 permutations for them to pursue, the one held by Ruth Blaine herself and the one held by Atoy Musazi. Neither of them were easy targets. I could testify to that herself. Luckily, they'd come here prepared to deal with any difficulties. Oe turned back to look at her comrades. "Sword and gun," she said seriously, looking at Tarada and Maxim. "You two will pursue Atoy Musazi in the Aquarius variant. Maxim, no using your ability until you've confirmed the permutation he's holding is a fake." "Fine." If the most senior of their number had issues taking orders with Oe, he didn't show it. Usually one star would be the one directing operations like this, but on this occasion he'd remained behind to keep watch over Oberon. The last thing they wanted was to leave their base undefended against other enemies while they were pursuing these ones. "Songshu," Oe's voice softened as she looked down at Unseelie Fist. "You're with me. We're going after Blaine." "Sweet!" Songshu grinned, hands behind her head. "I've been wondering if I could punch through that armor of hers." Suppressing a smirk at Songshu's enthusiasm, Oe turned back to the group as a whole. "Phantasm's thing is already on the move," she said seriously. "You all have Seelie squads assigned to back you up. Annihilate the enemy and reacquire permutation. That is your only BOOM!" For the second time in 2 days, the skies of Nermut trembled. Even here, behind the protection of the Crimson Barrier, the ground shook and the roof beneath them unsettled. Something had just entered the atmosphere. Oh no. Her face already turning pale, Oe snapped her head up, and through the crimson gloom beheld the new shape that had infiltrated Nermut's sky. She'd seen it many times during their war planning, the second visitor, meant to be the first, that would arrive in retaliation against what Zephyr Pandershi had done on Serendipity. If not for the final church's unexpected arrival, they would have been ready and waiting for this interloper. The Alexander, the last remaining light point-capable ship of the Supremacy. They had come for their supreme. Oe reached out and took Songshu's hand as she looked at the mighty vessel floating over the final church's fleets. It had begun. The world was falling in on itself. This certainly wasn't what he had expected. Alexander's Toll looked out grimly from the bridge of the Alexander, arms clasped behind his back, taking stock of the siege they'd just appeared in the middle of. He would have understood UAP forces surrounding Zipan. He wouldn't have understood how they'd gotten here in force so quickly, but he'd have understood their motivation in doing so. These ships, though? Without a doubt, those ships were the stars of the final church. Old, decorated vessels that were veterans of many past conflicts. The Raw Bernard, the Blood upon the Firmament, the Odd Duck, and above them all, the Fourth Trumpet. What was the Fourth Trumpet again?
That was that's where Jebrahar's witness's ship. She's the one
it's
like,
the
leading
little
the
ship,
crusade.
not one of the light point ships, though.
No, but this is like the one in command of the battle, the war.
If this was what Toll thought it was, then there was only I assume, one person the church would have put in charge of it.
That's what I mean. That's what I put there.
No, you put there was only person. It should be only one person. The woman who had been there that day. He turned to the bridge staff. "Patch me through," he said darkly. "I want to speak with Jebrahar as a witness." What's that day?
That incident.
Should you italicize it? That day.
You know what? Why not? That italicized red. So it's like a fucking Deltarune fake screenshot.
Yeah. Satan Red Toll. Come on, I want to hear it. Back then. Alright, where am I? Aetheral Space. Questions. My throat is so fucking dry, dude. I'm like about to die.
Live. Life is life, Gem.
Life is life, Gem. I'm gonna keep this very quick, though. I need water now. Rurum asks, if you were an average urban citizen in the Supremacy or UAP, how concerned should you be if your coworker told you they started learning the killing arts? Is it like, oh, they started karate, neat, or is it like, I need to call the cops?
Well, it's if you're in a Supremacy, you're like, oh, how vulnerable. But if someone, it's easier said than done as well, I would say.
Is it like karate where like people take their kids to learn killing arts, or is it like this is a pretty serious?
Yeah, it's pretty serious stuff. But you'll also get like schools of the Steven Seagal killing arts that are like a scam.
I gotcha. Rurum also asks, can I just go on Sphere and search up how to learn killing arts Beth method 1024 ATR?
If you want a Steven Seagal method, yeah.
Rurum asks, if you upload information to Principality, do you only upload one copy that can only be checked out by one person at a time, or can countless people access?
It's the internet through Aether, basically. So it's the free online Aether ability that anyone can edit.
Rurum asks, if every Principality user died, then someone later learned the technique, would all the info still be there?
If it was them making a Principality specifically using the previous like knowledge, they would have all the info. If they made like
So it's like it doesn't go away when the people die. It's like in a third space.
Yes.
Stored.
Some kind of Aether space.
MT asks, what's space warfare been like for the past big wars? Are there swarms of ships like in Star Wars, or are most battles on a planet?
Generally, by all means, they should usually be swarms of ships and orbital bombardments, but there's like crazy people in charge usually who do like having the battles.
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't want to drop a rock from orbit.
I want glorious warfare.
I want to use my fucking fire kung fu.
I spent 20 years learning fire kung fu and I'm using it.
Blur asks, if Ruth died, would her armor become like Hotel d'Assad?
It could. That's very possible. What if I said, you'll find out, it's Ark. I just go, yeah, you'll find out in 17.49.
Lan asks, do armaments face restrictions the same way abilities do?
Yes, but it being an Aether armament is in itself a pretty good restriction. So there's a bit more leeway with them.
I think...
Because an Aether armament, like, conceivably, if I made, like, a really good sword, I can have a bit more freedom in making it a good sword if it's an armament, because someone else could just, like, grab it and kill me with it.
Someone made a good point. Someone caught something. Can I say it? If it might spoil things. Okay. So there's a running theory we were talking about earlier, where we think Harry Phantasm might be Lucifer, and aside from Phantasm, fake illusion, he did say Pandershi Man.
No, he did say that, huh?
Yeah, he did. There's no way Lucifer would be pretending to be another guy.
I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Interesting. Curious, even. Alright, well,
maybe there's some dialogue of his when he appeared that could shine light on this. I couldn't say, though.
What did you say when he appeared?
Well, I don't know. I can't remember.
I get it, but Alright, well, thank you all for watching, and maybe we'll see you next time.
Bye.